If you look at a map of the world, right at the very bottom, there's this huge blank space. Antarctica. It's a place that almost feels like it's from another planet. And for some reason, it's a continent that world powers have deliberately kept quiet. Even when tensions were at their highest, everyone agreed, we don't fight over Antarctica.
But that just begs the question, right? Why? What could possibly be on a continent of ice that would make humanity, a species that fights over every scrap of land, agree to leave the whole thing alone? We're going to dig into that, because what's sleeping under all that ice is a story of myth, power, and secrets that maybe we've never been quite ready for. So let's start at the beginning, because long before anyone ever actually set foot on its frozen shores, Antarctica was just an idea. It wasn't born from discovery, but from a really old human need for balance.
Yeah, the ancient Greeks, they called it Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown southern land. They just figured it had to be there, to balance out all the land in the north. But then, when explorers finally got there, that myth of some kind of peaceful, balancing land was completely shattered. Instead, they found the brutal reality of the heroic age. It was this insane, life-or-death race to the pole, a battle against an environment so unforgiving it pushed human beings to their absolute limit.
Those early expeditions, they brought back incredible stories, for sure. But they also kicked open the door for science. And once we started drilling deep into that ice, the truth that started to emerge was, well, it was even stranger than the myths.
We all have this picture in our heads, right? Antarctica is just a world of eternal ice, an unchanging, frozen wasteland.
Turns out, that couldn't be further from the truth.
And here's the proof, and it is undeniable. Buried miles under the ice, scientists have found massive seams of coal, the remnants of ancient forests. They found fossilized wood from huge trees and even the bones of dinosaurs. There's even a huge network of rivers and lakes flowing in the dark beneath the ice sheet. This place wasn't always a wasteland. Millions of years ago, Antarctica was green, it was lush, and it was teeming with life.
Okay. So modern science says this green paradise vanished millions of years ago. Makes sense. But then, there's this one really weird artifact that throws a wrench in the whole timeline. It's called the Piri-Reis map, drawn back in 1513. And what's so stunning about it is that the bottom portion seems to show the coast of Antarctica, but without any ice on it.
So let's just stop and think about that for a second. How is that even possible? We only figured out the shape of the land under the ice in the 20th century, and we had to use sophisticated ice-penetrating radar to do it. So how is it on a map from over 500 years ago? It's a historical puzzle that, honestly, nobody has ever really solved.
And this feeling of a deep, ancient mystery only got more intense in the 20th century. That's when the story pivots from natural history to some really intense political secrecy.
And if you just look at the timeline, you can see how fast things went from 0 to 100. In 1938, Nazi Germany sails down and claims a chunk of the continent. Right after the war, 1947, the US sends a literal armada down there in something called Operation High Jump. And then, just a decade later, in 59, the entire world agrees to lock the place down and ban all military activity. That sequence of events, it's just really, really strange.
Okay, let's talk about Operation High Jump. Officially, the story was it was all about scientific research and training. But let's just look at the numbers, because they don't exactly scream science fair. First off, they sent almost 5,000 people. And with them, 13 warships, including destroyers. I mean, that's a whole lot of protection for the geology mission. And here's the real kicker. They brought a full aircraft carrier. You guys, this looked less like a research trip and more like an invasion force. And get this, it was supposed to last 6 to 8 months, but they packed up and left after just 2. What happened down there?
The mystery got even deeper because of these words, which are attributed to the operations leader, Admiral Richard Byrd. He allegedly gave an interview where he warned America needed to prepare for attacks by objects that can fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Now, it's never been officially confirmed he said that, but that quote, real or not, has fueled speculation for decades.
So after all this military flexing, the world suddenly did a complete 180. In 1959, the United States and the Soviet Union, at the absolute peak of the Cold War, came together and signed the Antarctic Treaty. They basically made the entire continent a global park, totally off limits to any military.
And that leads us to the biggest political puzzle of all. Why? Why would these mortal enemies, who are fighting for control of everything else on the planet, just willingly give up a continent that's twice the size of Australia?
Was it really just too hard to manage, or did they find something there? Or maybe, did they fear something there enough to agree that it was better to just keep everyone out?
So this brings us right to the heart of it. After decades of military secrets and a treaty that makes no sense, what exactly is being protected down there? As you can probably guess, the speculation is just wild. Some people think the ruins of a lost civilization, maybe Atlantis, are frozen under all that ice. Others point to secret military bases, either leftover Nazi hideouts or modern ones. You've got theories about gateways to a hollow Earth, or vast resources too valuable to risk a war over, or even evidence of contact with something not from our world.
But you know, when you sift through all the history, the science, and the crazy speculation, one really powerful idea starts to stick out. And it's that Antarctica is a mirror.
Throughout our history, it's just reflected whatever we wanted to see in it. Our ancient need for balance, our modern ambition to conquer, our fear of our enemies, and our obsession with things we can't see. So here's the final question. Is the biggest secret really something buried miles deep in the ice? Or is the secret what this huge, silent continent shows us about ourselves? About our own ambition, our fear, and our desperate need to control the unknown? That is the one secret that's still waiting to be discovered.